Great. This is Zhang from UTA Arlington. Today I'm going to talk about our work on establishing a coupled flood modeling system for assessing infrastructure resilience along the Southeast Texas coast. First, to knowledge my co-authors, we have Naha Namadi, Michelle Hamel, Arif Rahman, and Siva Chai from UTA Arlington, and Dr. Chin Chen from Lamar University. A brief overview of the project. The project was founded back in 2019 by NOAA's Climate Program Office. The broader aim of the project is to help regional suppliers identify and select adaptive measures that will improve the resilience of water infrastructure under flood conditions while accounting for climate changes. These infrastructures include water treatment plants, transmission lines, and pumping stations. The major stakeholders involved in the undertaking include Lower Neches Valley Authority, which is the largest raw water supplier in the region, the city of Beaumont, Jefferson and Orange counties, as well as the Texas Water and Development Board. The expertise featured by the research team includes weather, climate, hydrology, and hydrodynamics, economics, and infrastructure design. Here's a map showing the study region. We focus our attention in the project over Southeast Texas, right east of the city of Houston. So this region is also known as the Jordan Triangle that encompasses Jefferson, Orange, and a part of Hardin County. This region is interesting in many different respects. First of all, it's highly vulnerable to flooding. Second, this region is actually a house to major energy producers in the nation. The Jefferson County alone accounts for about 11% of US petroleum employment. So one of the major lessons learned over flooding events that occur the last 5 years is that flooding is actually a major threat to water suppliers in the region. During Hurricane Harvey, there are a number of pumping stations that fell because they got submerged. The Lower Neches Valley Authority had this major pumping station north of the saltwater barrier that got inundated and failed. Fortunately, it had a partnership with the ExxonMobil, which was able to manufacture and install bypass pumps, which allow the water supply to sustain after the event. The city of Beaumont was not so fortunate. It actually lost its water supply for about 12 days after the event. The overall goal and the research questions of the project, the overarching aim of the project is to build a regional flood risk assessment system or framework that has the ability to account for climate changes. Okay, at center of the system is a couple modeling system and a tool that's able to create and generate storm scenarios of future climates. The broader research questions are twofold. The first one is how do we go about modeling the flood risk while accounting for potential compounding effects? We did observe cases where there are intensive interactions between storm surge, pluvial and fluvial flood waters, which sort of intensify and prolong the floods. The second question has to do with how to properly characterize future flooding risk while accounting for the manifold manifestations of climate changes, including sea level rise, including changes in the morphology of the storm, including changes in the tracks and the frequency of tropical and non-tropical storms. So we constructed a couple modeling framework based on a Delta 3D and a national water model. So the hydrodynamic model is built from a Delta 3D using unstructured grade, whereas the riverine model is the national water model 2.0. This model has the ability to ingest river discharge from USGS gauging station, as well as ungauge flow from national water model. This map shows the model domain for the Delta 3D implementation that extends all the way upstream USGS gauging stations along Neches and Sabine Rivers. The southern border of the domain goes all the way to the Gulf, which allows us to capture major storm surge events. So far, we're able to produce retrospective simulations for 3 major hurricane events, namely Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Ike, and Hurricane Rita. Here's a map that shows a comparison of simulated inundated areas versus the FEMA inundation map. The FEMA inundation map was constructed using high water marks, which were collected after the fact. We can see there's a broad, good agreement between the two sets of maps. We do observe some small discrepancies along the periphery of the region. We see these purple areas, which indicate that the FEMA map actually depicts the flood areas, whereas our model was not able to capture. We surmise the major reason behind this discrepancy is that our model system does not account for direct rainfall. The Delft 3D at present does not have the ability to model rain on grade. So we do have major areas in the region which got submerged because you have rainfall falling on the grade, which were actually static and not mobile. That probably caused the discrepancy. Okay, the project is still ongoing. So far, we have been successful in terms of constructing a couple modeling system that consists of a national water model, as a wherein model, and a Delta 3D that models the storm surge. We were able to successfully demonstrate the model performance over 3 major past storm events, namely Harvey, Ike, and Rita. We also had the ability to superimpose infrastructure measures on top of inundation maps to actually assess the risk associated with the different infrastructures under different type of events. We've been working closely with some of the stakeholders. In particular, we had meetings with the LNVA collaborators. We also scheduled a presentation at TWDB Region 5 Flood Planning Group meeting that's going to take place sometime in the summer. And there's still a number of challenges. In particular, we are actually still making improvements to the model to better capture rainfall runoff processes and to better capture the backwater effects. We also want to be able to convey and account for the future uncertainties in future climate scenarios, increasing the flooding risk. At the same time, we're working to better depict the spillover effects of water infrastructure on the regional economy, which so far has been overlooked by many studies. So that concludes my talk.